that Zeri, of course. So it's gonna be a painful thought to deal with here for Weibo. But they do have the liberty of the early game prowess of the solution. So again, it's gonna boil down to a lot of the execution here for Weibo. Bans coming out, a lot of the junglers locked on out away. So I wonder what Weibo are going to prioritize this time. Kha'Zix for OMG. Aatrox out for the count as well. Garen?
Hey, Garen.
Oh, there you go. Hey,
we haven't seen him pick fight a lot.
Yeah. 4% pick rate.
Yeah. That is still a decent number of games considering how many games we've had already in this league. But I kind of agree with it. I kind of agree with it. It's a really stable top laner. Just lets things slide off of him like water off a duck's back, and it will be, Wawa picking up the Garen, as it's going to be a Gwen mid lane. Oh, sorry, White Cat. My bad. I was looking at it the wrong way. I was looking at the things the wrong way. White Cat's the one picking up the Garen, and the Gwen in the mid lane, obviously. 15 on that Zeri. I think it's going to be a very explosive game.
Oh yeah.
But the power spike timings are quite different between these two teams, so that could be the difference maker here.
Do have to say I'm loving this comp from Weibo Gaming. They all essentially have their own engaged tools. You got an Ornn, you got a Zoe, a Jax, and a Shyvana that just wants to jump into the fight. And I think that really complements each and every one of these champions' playstyles very well. It seems like they have a very cohesive plan, and the problem with that is it might not be the easiest of stuff to execute, but it's an all-in type of comp, and I'm absolutely loving that from Weibo Gaming. Absolutely reflective of their character as a team. You know, OMG, I would say they have a little bit more flexibility in their composition. Kha'Zix is going to be there. Ton of damage on the Zeri and the Gwen, and that Sona that's been terrorizing the solo queue side. But I would have to say I'm favoring Weibo's comp a little bit more because it seems like they have the more cohesive plan of the two.
Oh yeah, they do have a very well laid out plan that you can see from the get-go from Champ Select. So there is a lot that can go wrong still, because look at the scaling this time of Weibo Gaming or of OMG. They have quite a bit of ways to get into these late game fights. They just don't really have a solid engaged champion is the problem that I see with OMG's composition.
That's true.
But yeah, Weibo, they have such a well laid out game plan that OMG will need to find ways to get around it.
And the thing about comp of OMG though is they're all very self-sufficient champions. Right? You got Garen, Gwen, Kha'Zix. These are all great 1v1 champs, which is showing in the screen right now how much FaZe is struggling despite being the range in the matchup. Which is potentially what they're going to be playing off here. Fake ops, just side lanes, perhaps splitting up the map, and avoid team fights as much as possible. But it's an inevitability anyway, so Weibo has to play towards those team fighting part of the game.
Yeah,
but for now it is still just a gentleman's agreement, like no early game shenanigans between the two junglers.
Yeah, which is kind of weird that it's this time where they kind of have that little bit of a truce, that gentleman's agreement, as you said, because a lot of the time we see these, or at least today we have seen quite some shenanigans coming out at level 1 in the first couple levels, something like that, between the junglers. And we could be seeing some, as Fan is the first one to get to that Skull Crab. Man, Shyvana's clear speed is just insane. It is insane. I love that. And then Inyan, just now finishing off the Gromp, will probably head over to that top side. I don't think he's gonna check the... Well, he is on the route, so he might check the bottom scuttle, but he should already be going towards that top scuttle to contest it.
I'm excited to see just how the Sona is going to perform against Weibo, against such an aggressive comp here. But so far, nothing too aggressive put out here by the bot lane duo of Weibo. Unlike in previous Lucian attempts we've seen where pre-level 5 even. We've seen a lot of the skirmishes already. Maybe perhaps they're waiting for just the culling and the Horn of the Forge God, which is, of course, a huge power spike here for the bot side. But I could say the same for the Zeri Sona combo. Fan making his way towards that area of White Cat, but immediately gets spotted out. So it seems like the trend of both junglers just jungling going to continue on for now.
Junglers do be jungling. That's that's what they're made for. That's the rule. That's the thing. But I really feel like OMG should be abusing that kind of early game slump that Shyvana has to, you know, find her in the jungle, gap her, especially your Kha'Zix. You have that isolation damage. You should be trying to find the Shyvana and bring the fight to her when she is not scaled up yet, because later on Shyvana becomes a late game monster, literally a monster in her dragon form.
But it's gonna be really hard to track where Shyvana is, right? You said it yourself. Insane amounts of clear speed, which is why it's hard to keep track, because you can't. Typically, the way you keep track of enemy jugglers is where you are at is potentially where they're at right now, right? For example, if I'm at the red buff, it's potentially at the blue buff or the red buff as well. But because the wave clear speeds are different, it's really hard to predict where the Shyvana is going to be. And OMG,
that's just called game sense.
Yeah, OMG potentially are almost certainly knows that, which is why they're not even bothering finding out where the Shyvana is for Weibo Gaming. So
yeah, but also there's that element of, you know, being risk averse. You don't want to be too risky, especially in a game or in a match that, you know, matters as much as this.
I think like Indian has found a little bit of an inkling of where Weibo's players are at. Blue buff getting secured. Nothing yet too aggressive, and Fan, all things considered, this is favoring Fan, because remember, he's the one who has the weaker early game, and now that early game is arguably done. You could essentially look for fights here. Sheen activated, Drake spawning up in just 20 seconds, and take a look at who's first to the scene. Weibo already asserting their vision here. They could actually look for a dive here, because remember, Shyvana, Ornn, a lot of dive potential. But no, it seems like Gekian is just assisting that mid lane instead. Knockup connects. That's Wawa in a little bit of trouble, but not too big of a worry for now, as Rift Herald getting started by OMG instead. Inyan already in the pit. White Cat responding in kind there as they get the knockup onto Wawa. Wild Rift Forge God gets a knockup onto the Sona, but it's just a little bit too fast for that Ornn, as the Drake secured this time by the Shiv. And OMG get their Rift Herald, so it is a trade of objectives.
Yep, trade of objectives, no kills yet. Just a little bit of feeling out here, but there could be kills.
Snip, snip. Connects onto the Wan Yu. That is the needle work, but here comes Fan for the backup, and there's just nowhere to go for the Gwen. And that's Weibo. First blood on the board.
Yep, Wawa was a little bit too far to be able to respond to that, but that was a really good flank coming in from that Shyvana. Look at where he was coming from. He goes for the Dragon's Descent. From the back of SMK, went through that tower, and you know, once the Shyvana was in the Gwen's face, couldn't really do all too much.
Sleepy Trouble connects onto Wawa. Actually, unfortunately, the ping pong just off time by a little bit there by Faye. Doesn't connect a lot of damage onto Wawa, but it does keep her at bay for now. The Sona, I mean. Rift Herald not popped yet for the moment. So no turrets going down yet, but a very, very slow start to this game with Weibo with a little bit of a gold lead, around 2,000 gold lead.
Yeah, it is quite slow, but yeah, the lead from Weibo Gaming is starting to show, and OMG, we may be looking for a diver, but yeah, just pop that Void Assault to put down the Rift Herald so that they can, you know, get these blades. Not get the tower, not quite yet, because they didn't really do all too much damage for it, but I thought that was going to be more than it was. I thought that was going to be a gank.
I thought so too, but apparently not. Weibo taking things very, very slowly, very safely. And at some point, you have to wonder, when is Weibo going to pull the trigger? You talk about the engaged potential that this comp has. You talk about the scaling that is arguably even at this point, but the fact of the matter is they have to start looking for fights, have to use their tools here to make the most out of it. And Duan Yu definitely still has a huge advantage in this bot lane matchup as the Lucian.
Look at that patience. Fan just hiding out there, just chilling, waiting for the push to come in. White Cat knows something's up because that Lucian would not be pushing that hard if there wasn't somebody that was going to pounce out. Here's a call of the Forge Cut.
It's a connect, actually denied by SMK. Perfect timing there. That's just gonna be used to clear up the wave for now in that top side. And Weibo happy with that first tower on the board. Actually, really good job for Weibo. They didn't take the Rift Herald, but they're the ones who take the first tower. So amazing job from them.
Yeah, that gives them a pretty good lead in gold.
Knockup connects onto the Gwen. SMK in a little bit of trouble. Duan Yu is already here. They're calling denied. As Wawa is around the area as well. No one going down, but a switcheroo of lanes means that potentially Weibo can up for a second tower here on the top side.
That is most probable. Fan though, he's gonna find White Cat, chase him off right here. As he does want to give Zihan a little bit of love, a little bit of support in that lane because he's so efficient at farming, and just all of his camps pretty clear pretty much all the time. He has a lot of time to just help out push lanes, get some map control going, which is really what you want in that Shyvana because that does help your macro. It helps your laners get ahead.
Oh, here comes the jump in from Inyan. Finally finds the first kill for himself. He shuts down the enemy Zoe. That's really well executed there for Inyan. And the junglers, they're coming online here. Yeah.
Yes, they are. That is exactly what we want to see. Great gank there by Inyan. So much distance can be covered by a Kha'Zix, and that was, I think, technically isolated. And of course, that's a lot of damage. With that kill, it only accelerates how much that Kha'Zix is going to hurt as we get further into this game. But in just a few seconds, in about 15 seconds, the Mountain Drake is going to spawn up. That's going to be the next point of contention here for these two teams. So you can see they are setting up towards it.
Yep, they are. White Cat is here. He's all alone for now. And in a full front-to-back team fight, I think... I can't say for sure who has the upper hand because there's a ton of CC, a ton of damage on both sides. White Cat. Sleepy Trouble doesn't connect. But Gekian is holding the line for now. Blue buff secured by Inyan, so they know that he's around the area as the Drake spawns up. White Cat providing that meat shield assistance to their team. As Weibo Gaming actually struggling to decide, are they going to split push? Are they going to go for the engage? Seems like they're going to go for the earlier and let the Drake not get taken for now.
Yeah, it was completely free.
Yeah.
Somehow, the Drake was just given over to Weibo Gaming. No contest from OMG whatsoever. I feel like, that front line really just intimidated Inyan, knowing that he couldn't jump that far without Jijen just holding that line and trying to CC him as soon as he jumped. So
it was an awkward engagement. Gekian does not get the knockup, but OMG doesn't have enough damage to shut down Gekian for now, so they're both gonna back off from that, slowly walking away. White Cat though spots where that Ornn is. So feeling pretty confident enough that he can survive. Here comes the call of the Forge God onto the Garen. Doesn't get the connection, but calls upon the attention of Hua here. Duan Yu, I don't think has enough damage yet, so back to
the drawing board.
Drawing board for both teams, but Weibo somehow, some way has a 3,000 gold lead.
Yep, it is pretty much because of their macro, the way that they have been controlling these lanes, using that Shyvana to help out and control, get these towers, control some lanes. It is because they are so good at roaming around the map, even though OMG are the ones who are hunting them down or trying to hunt them down for the Kha'Zix. But, that almost kind of doesn't matter in those late game fights as long as that zone is alive, because Wawa is just such a stat bomb for the entire team that even with that gold lead, Weibo Gaming may still mess up a fight if OMG is getting long enough for that Sona to really be super effective.
And that's the thing about Sona as well, right? She's kind of a scaling support too. The longer the game goes on, the more effective she becomes. It deals actually a really good amount of damage on top of providing a ton of utility for their team.
Yeah.
So
the stun as well.
Yep, really good here. So scaling, as far as scaling goes, OMG are in a pretty good spot, I would say. So Gekian pressured to find an engagement still. On here has max stacks on their passive, so Fan can actually use the Dragon's Descent. Spots out SMK. is going to be contesting for the blue buff, but here comes Inyan going in with...
He's going in?
No, he's not going in for
He's
the
going
fight.
out.
It's just the blue buff's nuts.
Don't risk your life for a blue buff.
Here comes the Herald of the Forge God. White Cat down to around 40% HP as Duan Yu chips him down. And that is not going to be that much justice used at all because Duan Yu is going to be destroying him. Meanwhile, SMK on the other side of the map will be jumped on by 2 as Weibo find a couple of stragglers. And there's no answer back.
Yeah, Weibo Gaming is just really putting so much pressure on these maps, on these lanes, that, you know, OMG are forced to make a decision that is either hesitant or really doesn't benefit them, or they make a decision too late. So, you know, I can see a lot of hesitation coming from OMG and not a lot of commitment here. So that does mean that Weibo Gaming is going
in, but the smite steal is going to be there. But the question is, can they survive this fight? Weibo looking for blood, but Faye doesn't connect the Sleepy Trouble. Here comes Inyan still in the bush, but what a steal right there for OMG. Inyan with a hero play.
The hero, Inyan. He came in, he got the smite, and almost got out. But, you know, did he get out? Because that is wonderful. He smited it at the exact right time. Yeah, he was able to flash out of there. Good stuff. Ben, they're the ones getting a res zone once again.
God, this time from Gekian gets a knock up onto White Cat to do the hammer damage to shut down this Jaren. That is the Dragon's Descent coming through, and a flash forward from Ban as well to try and whittle out this backline. But 15 is running for the hills. Faye chips down a little bit too much damage for himself. Ihan in mid lane there. So Weibo unable to punish OMG there as they're the ones getting destroyed in these skirmishes. Barely surviving Zihan with 1 HP. But OMG, that Baron Steel really was a lifeline for them.
It really was. They have a tiny bit of breathing room where Weibo Gaming won't be as aggressive, but they have to fight this dragon. They cannot risk that Dragon Soul going towards Weibo Gaming because that will just accelerate this game so much that that Baron play wouldn't really matter as much as it should have. Is Inyan, he's the one starting it off. He knows how important this is, so he's gonna try to sneak it out.
Here comes Gekian finally discovering, gets a double knock up, but that is still going to be the break in favor of Inyan there. OMG secures the dragon, but can SMK survive? Needlework activated, and he gets jumped on by 3 people there for Weibo. Finally, they find a little bit of punishment, but that's another objective in the hands of OMG here.
Yeah, with that, Baron was denied. The Dragon Soul was denied. Weibo Gaming. Now it is possible to take them down later on in the game because it would have been a really, really tough.
Oh, dash in for Duan Yu, a little bit too risky there, but stays alive because of the Call of the Forge God. Wow, flashes to safety as White Cat has to do the same as well. Weibo, despite losing the objective, still win the fights and take a turret. They could potentially look for this inhibitor turret as well, as long as the minions spawn up in time. But here comes Inyan trying to hold the line. Gekian doesn't get any knockups, but Inyan has got nothing to stop this push. That's the first inhib turret for Weibo.
Great stuff there by Weibo Gaming, getting that first inhib turret, pushing in so hard every single time they see OMG on the map. They try to go for it. That is a very ballsy move there. I really like that kind of playstyle because that just, again, puts so much pressure onto OMG that it becomes so difficult for them to make a good decision.
And it feels really suffocating to play as OMG right now, right? Despite the fact that they take these objectives, still can't win these fights. It's slowly turning into a Weibo game. And it feels like there's not much they can do about it because Weibo are just out-macroing them, out-maneuvering them at every single term. It's okay though. Getting sneaky. Zihan is rushed around that bottom side, but I don't think he's confident that he can win this fight against this Jax. Level 14, by the way. At the late game, there's not a lot of things that can go in the way of a Jax.
Yeah, as the scale has started, it is just a very difficult champion to try to go up against in those late game fights, especially when he's the one who's trying to engage with his counter strike. So, you know, it's, the longer this game goes on, the scaling is just going to be insane. But
Sleepy Trouble connects on to 1. That's White Cat. No follow-up yet so far. But OMG, they're doing a pretty good job of sticking together. But Weibo, will they engage? They have the Jack split pushing, so it's a 4v4 potentially. White Cat is looming around the corner. Wawa ult is available. Not going in for the fight. Baron is
Jax.
available. Yeah, Jax is just pushing. They can just buy time.
Yeah, and I don't think that Gwent can actually 1v1 the Jax. So it becomes a game of chicken. Like, are you going to stay on this Baron, or are you going to prevent the Jax from taking your inhibitor?
Oh, no, OMG. They take nothing. I mean, they take the Jax, but that's it. Baron buff secured this time by Weibo, with Gekian the only one holding the fort. Only one standing in the way between the two teams. And now they're looking to take the Elder Dragon as well. It's a 4v5 though, so Weibo got to be careful off of this. They have the Baron, not the Elder Jet, so don't really have a big advantage going into this fight. White Cat down to 50% HP. Gekian can get the knockup onto SMK, but White Cat has been dwindled down to 200, and OMG as well is already getting scattered. Faye down to 1. That's a jump in from Inyan, but the call to push gun turned things around. And here comes Gekian with Fan. Dragon's Descent activated. The 1U into the back line stays very, very safe. But Weibo not pushing any further because they don't have the Jax. They turn their sights towards the Drake. That is the Elder Drake now. With OMG, this is a fight they could win. Weibo, they don't have a lot of their ults available anymore. And that's Smite going to be so going in the way of the Shyvana. Fan secures it. And here comes the calling coming through from Weibo as they clean house. And this should be the game for Weibo Gaming.
That is 100% the game. Great stuff there by Zihan Fan. G-Chan just keeping the enemy occupied while while Fan was burning down that Elder Drake, and because of that they were able to decisively win a team fight, take game number 1.
Textbook placement there for Weibo. A ton of discipline